So I want to share with you a little bit about my journey on YouTube, specifically getting to a milestone that, I always kind of thought about, but did I really think it was going to happen? And that's when my channel got to 100,000 subscribers. I don't know where you are on your creative journey, as I always call it, on YouTube or anything like that. But if you're just starting out, if you're struggling, if you've been at it a bit and you're like, man, this thing is just, it's not working. I hope this video will encourage you, especially if you feel called to create like I do, that you'll stay at it. But first of all, before I go any further, if you have subscribed to my channel, thank you. It's hard for me to explain how much that means. Now, if you're watching the videos and you like them, maybe you don't like them, that's okay. Hopefully you like them. And you haven't subscribed, that's cool too. I appreciate you watching. But for the folks that for whatever reason have said, yeah, I like this older guy with long hair, I don't know, and just hit subscribe, thank you. That means a ton. So what I want to do is I want to share some of the things I did and didn't do along my journey to get to 100,000 subscribers. By the way, if we haven't met, my name's Kevin Colby, and I got to tell you, this is surreal. A little bit about the moment. So obviously, I knew I was getting close to 100,000 subscribers because I would keep checking my analytics. Probably too much, and probably more than I should have, but I did. And I remember it was the Thursday night before I would hit the 100,000. And it was in the evening. And the last time I checked, I think I was like 25 subscribers away. And I told my wife, I said, I just got to stop this. Because I had this thought of, I would click on the live views. You can do that. And it's pretty exciting. But I thought, who knows? This thing could drag on for days. Then I feel like a dork. So I just decided, we usually chill in the evenings and watch television with our little dude. So I thought, we're just going to do that. And it was funny because the next morning when I wake up, a dear friend of mine who also does YouTube as well, and we're like brothers, and he blew up my text messages with, dude, you did it. You had 100,000. And then we have a joke about, subscribers don't matter. And then it was like, meme, gif. And so because of him, I actually knew I'd hit it before I actually saw. And then I get on and I'm like, wow, it's unreal. I started my journey on YouTube. I started my YouTube channel in 2017. It was January 2017. Uploaded a video, first video. I did this thing called the drive-in where I had my phone mounted in my truck and I would just blab on as I was driving in to work, which at that point I was a creative director at a Fox station. Been in television for a long time. And a couple of months later, my position was cut and I found myself without a job. And I didn't know what I would be doing. I kind of kept trying to figure it out that year, and God knew what I would eventually be doing. And so this is what I do now. I'm a full-time solo content creator. I work for myself and love it. Yes, there's some ups and downs. Probably another video I can share if you're interested in that about just, working for yourself. I did YouTube. I don't think I had any grand ideas of YouTube. I still don't consider myself a YouTuber. I saw somebody in the comments, it made me smile, saying, well, now you're a YouTuber. I'm just me and I create content. If you want to call me a YouTuber, that's fine. I'm not going to fight you. I produced videos as I went, but one of the things I did, because I thought you had to do that, is I tried to play all the platforms. So I had a Facebook profile and a page, and I tried Pinterest, and I tried Instagram, and I tried Twitter back when it was Twitter. What else? LinkedIn, and some other ones that I don't even know if they exist now. I think I even had a Snapchat account. I had a Threads account for like a day. Of course, that was earlier. And then TikTok, and just what a mess. So I did all the things because that's what you were told to do. But then over time, I realized that somebody said once, and I wish I could remember who, if you really want to make YouTube work, let YouTube do YouTube. And what that means is that I stopped worrying about trying to share my videos everywhere on social media, hoping people would come over and watch the videos. And I realized everything I'm going to share, you could say, yeah, but this is what I did. This is what worked or didn't work for me. So take that as is. I can tell you this. One of the things I do is I do coaching calls. I love that. But if I'm ever on a call with you and I tell you something that goes in complete contrast against what YouTube says, not some other teacher, not some other guru, not even somebody I respect, but if it goes against what YouTube says, go with what YouTube says. When in doubt, what does YouTube say about blank, and go with that. But I tried all the things, and then eventually I thought, this is stupid. I really love YouTube. I like watching YouTube. I love learning on YouTube, and I love creating on YouTube. And so I stopped trying to do all the social media platforms to try and grow my channel. I focused on YouTube. Now, along the way, I just kind of did a little bit of everything. I didn't really care. I just posted a little bit of everything here and there, especially after my job was eliminated. I started doing some vlogs. One of my vlogs was about, now I'm wearing pants. I always wore pants, but it was kind of like just not like acting like I was on an extended vacation because I still needed to make money to support my family. And it was around 2020, my channel got reviewed. I used to say audited, freaked people out. It wasn't like IRS audited, but it was during a conference called Video Marketing World. CEO, friend of mine, Scott Simpson, said, hey, we're reviewing channels. We want to do your channel. Is that okay? And I said, sure. And it was Rob Wilson and Travis from vidIQ. And I got to tell you, it was the best thing that ever happened. I still remember, and I think it was Rob that said, you seem like a nice guy, but I have no idea what your channel is about. And you know what? He was right. I was all over the place. And so that kind of made me think, what do I really want to do? There was a course I invested in years ago, Video Ranking Academy with Sean Cannell, who's become since then a friend. It made me really think through YouTube. And that was the year and by the way, when my channel got reviewed, I had around 400 subscribers, 400 something. I don't know how many views. But, I was cranking along, and I remember doing a video about how to get Final Cut Pro for free because it was a question I kept seeing pop up. And I thought, well, I've tried Final Cut Pro for free. I really liked it. That's when I shifted over from Premiere to Final Cut Pro, which is what I still edit on. And I thought, if people are wondering about that, let me just do the video on it. And up until recently, that became my number one video. Now, it took time. And I think it was that same year, 2020, that I finally got to the point where I was invited into the YouTube Partner Program. And if you don't know about that, that's an opportunity to make money with YouTube. So when they put ads on my videos, I can get a cut of that, and then other things that come with it. And to get into that, you have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. And I remember that happening. I think it was 2020, and it was again another one of those you've got to be kidding moments. I was having fun, but I kind of got to a point where I felt like I was doing the same thing. So like I was doing a lot of Final Cut Pro videos. Editing is one of my things I love. And I remember having a couple of folks say, YouTube thinks you're a Final Cut Pro channel. That's what you need to do. Just lean into that. And I thought, yeah, I don't want to. I enjoy teaching Final Cut Pro, but I think there's other ones out there that are far better, which is a whole comparison thing. That's another video maybe. And I just didn't want to just do Final Cut Pro videos. And that's a thing that I think I still wrestle with. Started to say struggle. Is it a struggle? Where I don't like to be boxed in. I just don't. I think that's why I don't refer to myself as a YouTuber, because I don't identify that way. I'm a content creator. And I think we like to put people in boxes so we can figure everything out. And I just resist that. I just do. And I think that has been one of the things that has helped me on YouTube is when people say, well, you've got to do this. You've got to use tags. I'm not going to get off on tags. And I'm like, no, you don't. YouTube tells you don't. But again, I digress. So I just started doing different kinds of videos. And that was something else I did. I experimented. So not only did I experiment with formats, but I experimented with topics. So when I say formats, for the longest time, I did what I would call long form videos, but sometimes I would do short videos. Like one of my videos that really took off was like just how to change a thumbnail on a YouTube video. And I think it was like a minute and a half. But I did long form and I did live streaming, eventually wrote a book, my first book ever. When I wrote it, I think I wrote that when I was 62. And by the way, I'm 64. I'm just sharing the age because that's one of the things I did. I started leaning into talking to people over 40. So if you're older, your time's not done yet. And I started, I lost my thought. Where was I going with that? So I'm back. I remember what I was talking about. I was talking about formats. Well, I did the longs and I did live streaming and eventually did podcasting, video podcasting, leaned into the community tab. They called it community then. Now it's called posts. So I did a little bit of everything. Yeah, I did shorts because we're supposed to do shorts. Remember? That's what everybody tells you. And as a side note, I discovered I didn't like vertical video. I didn't like watching it. I didn't like creating it. Now, possibly because of my background, I came from television where everything was 16 by 9. Eventually, it was 4 by 3 at one point, but it was widescreen, and that's what I enjoyed doing. That's still to this day, that's what I enjoy creating and watching as long form, to the point where quite a while ago, I'd already stopped producing shorts. I just decided to take them all off my channel. And I did a whole video on that if you want to watch it. I unlisted them, made them all private. I didn't delete them, but I made them all private. And guess what? It didn't hurt my channel at all. At all. So I stopped playing the shorts game and I leaned into what I wanted to lean into. But along the way, I just kept thinking, what am I going to do? And it was in August of 2024. I was right around 14,000 subscribers, which ain't bad. But I just kind of felt like, my content was, I don't know, it just didn't seem to be any life in it. Now, don't misunderstand me. I was enjoying what I was creating, but I felt like I was going more through the motions rather than trying to really connect with community. I kept hearing people talk about community. I remember something, it goes back to an email. So I was on a call with Heather Torres when she was working with Think Media. And I was on there with a call. I was on a call with her with another creator. And somehow in there, she started saying, hey, Kevin, you really ought to lean into your age. Now, this goes back a few years. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah. And she's explaining, you've got experience and blah, blah, blah. And I have the email that I wrote her and said, I really appreciate that, but I forgot exactly what I said in the email. But I said, I just didn't feel like I was ready to lean into the age. And I don't know why, because age just isn't a big deal to me, And I mean, again, I'm 64. I'm 64. That's what I am. I'm still alive and kicking. But that seed was planted at that point that eventually would lead to a decision that changed my channel. I didn't really pivot. I call it refocusing. And I'd also talked to a couple of other friends, actually did a coaching session with somebody, and I would keep getting these comments like, well, you have an audience, but you don't really have an audience. Because like at one point I was looking and like 98% of my views came from people that were not even subscribed. So that meant that the people that were subscribing weren't watching. And to me, that's just not community. And I thought, you know what? Community, as I've gotten older, community means a lot, especially considering I work for myself and I don't have an office to go to. This is my office, former bedrooms where I do everything. And I thought, well, is there something to this, talking to older people, since I'm an older people, about creating content, which is what I know more about. I thought, I just kept feeling this push to lean into that. And I saw some videos pop up, where people were talking over 40. And I'm like, is this a thing? So I actually did a little research. It's like, well, how many people over 40 are even on YouTube? Because keep in mind, I had kind of abandoned trying to use social media to grow my channel. And I saw that, dang, there's a lot of people out there. And I've always had this, I've always enjoyed helping beginners or people that are just starting, or they've started and maybe they're kind of stuck. I like that. I like thinking bigger. I like helping push people that just don't give up so quickly. I like that. And a lot of my clients have been that way. They've been very gifted with one thing, but video maybe hung them up. How to get their message out there with video. And which has allowed me to work with nonprofits and businesses and entrepreneurs around the world, which has been really cool. I started thinking about it. And I remember waking up thinking, I'm just going to do a video about why, if you're over 40, you got to start on YouTube. And I just sat down without notes, just kind of talking from my head and heart, hit record, and went. And like this video, I went into it not expecting to edit, which is a whole nother shift I had to make. And I think the battery died, so I had to edit. And I remember the day I posted that video. I think it was August 6th, 2024. I don't know why I remember that. And I remember I had it, I uploaded it, and I was saying to my wife, I don't know that I'm going to publish this. I just don't know. So that's a takeaway. If I seem so confident in what I do, I still to this day go, I don't know. I just shot a video the other day that I decided to scrap. Shot it, edited it, uploaded it, and said, no, it didn't work. And I think the more you do this, the more you start having to kind of, you'll trust your gut on things. At least I do. And sometimes I'm wrong. So I got to that, and I really almost didn't publish that video. I mean, I'm shooting straight. The day I had it uploaded, I thought, I don't know. And then I thought, just publish it. Move on. It probably, who knows? It won't probably do that much. Just do it. Move on. I didn't have another video planned after that. I didn't. All of a sudden, that started getting traction. And a friend of mine that we'd connected via email and become friends, and he said, wow, that's amazing. You better have a follow-up video. And I'm like, yeah, I better have a follow-up video. So again, one of the things I do and don't do is I don't over-plan. Now, again, this is what works for me. I don't script. I do bullet points sometimes. But I just decided that I would, in that video, speak from the heart. So I do keep an idea list, and I've covered this in other videos. I do keep an idea list now. Somebody will drop a question in a comment, then I'll go, oh, that's pretty good. And I'll maybe copy and paste it over. I make notes. I use the Apple Notes now thing where I'll just talk things out and then have it transcribe it and then kind of look at that. But I can't say that I've got like this 3-month plan and 6-month plan and things like that. And that's been another thing where I've allowed myself the freedom, given myself permission to adapt and change. Like, for example, I did a video on the Apple Notes feature, how you can actually use Apple Notes now. They've kind of built voice memo into it, and you can talk and it'll transcribe it. And I thought that was amazing. Here was the thought process that went into that video. I saw the feature, I played with it, and I thought, dang, this is pretty cool. I'll do a video on that. That was the thought process. And that's one of the things I shifted. Before I kind of made this pivot, I would research something to death. I mean, I would don't hear me wrong, I'm not against research at all. I'm not. But I think there's a point where it's like, you probably know enough where you can hit record and start talking. Even if you're using a script and a teleprompter. Don't recommend it. But if that's you, that's fine. But I would over-research, especially keywords and titles. Now, titles are important. Thumbnails are important. your video topic are important. Just kind of going with the groove there. Keywords, they have a place. I'm not going to say they're not, but I think it depends on what you're going for. My channel up to that point was pretty much built on the back of search. You've heard it called SEO. And I do not regret that at all. In fact, it is a great way to grow. It's a great way to share your knowledge. Just know, typically though, search is slower. So one of the shifts I made is not relying so much on search and thinking more conversational, like I try and talk and even write. Think more conversational in how I was writing titles and even my thumbnails. I shifted to that. And what happened is my channel, where my views were coming from, changed to browse, which is like when you open your YouTube channel. When you open YouTube, that's called browse. You know, you get just videos there that YouTube thinks you might be interested in, including some you might be subscribed to. Browse and suggested, recommended, by far overtook where my videos were growing. I still get some growth in search. What I discovered is if you start growing in browse and suggested, search may follow. But if you grow in search, the others don't necessarily follow. That's my experience. So I stopped relying less on what people might be searching for, specific phrases, and kind of the intent and what they might be looking for, including encouragement and things like that. Things that I could lean into being older and trying to talk to an older audience. So that's one of the things I did. Now, I don't want to throw shade on any of these products like TubeBuddy or vidIQ or some of the other ones. Full disclosure, I have a free TubeBuddy account that I was gifted years ago. It's a legacy account. I have a free vidIQ account. I don't pay for it. And I tried it some, and what I found is I didn't need either one. Again, that's me. That's me. I don't use those. I don't use any of these tools to try and perfect the title, try and perfect this. I have used AI a little here and there to ideate, but then there's kind of that fine line of how much I'm using AI, and I'm really kind of working through that right now. I think it can be too much, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm just not leaning on me and my gifts, even if I make a mistake. The other thing I did is I made a shift in thumbnails. I shifted away from the constant YouTube face to cutting me out of the background and all this other stuff to what I kind of call hyper real. I just made it up. I don't know what it means. But typically it's always going to be a shot. Sometimes it's a frame from the video. And then sometimes I'm pulling out my phone or my camera and I'm, doing a couple of poses, maybe holding up my laptop or something like that. But I like this reel, that it looks like you're kind of getting a glimpse into the video as opposed to a cutout background and all this other stuff. Again, not knocking that, but I think that was something that was holding me back. And you can see it if you go back and look at the over 40 video and look at the thumbnails since then and look at the thumbnails before then, I think you'll see a pretty big difference. The other thing I did is I struggle with this. Let me check my time. I really tried to stop overproducing and over-editing the videos. Coming from a production background, I was in television for, 30-something years, and creative director for quite a while. Had a creative team that was far smarter, far more creative than me. Still believe to this day, even though I've been on television for a long time, they were the best team in TV. Every iteration of it. But I love editing. I love editing so much. And it's easy for me to drop back into what I call over-editing and over-producing. As opposed to, why is there an edit there? Why is there a graphic there? And I have just come, this is where I am right now, that the more edited it is, sometimes it just takes away, I think, from the realness of us talking. So that is a conscious effort I made. I even though now I've kind of gone back to a mic on my desk right now, I have this mic right here, but I even started thinking about having the mic in the shot or not, which really doesn't matter, but I just wanted to make it, I wanted you to feel like we are having a conversation. That is the greatest power of video and audio too. But if it's like I can look into the lens, which is all I'm doing, I'm looking into the lens on my camera, but hopefully you feel like we're having a conversation. I like to use the analogy, it's like we're at a coffee shop and we're just sitting down and we're talking, whether we've just met or we've hung out before. And I've had people say that in the comments, and it warms my heart. It just does. When somebody says that, it's like, thank you. And so I'm not saying there's not a place for editing, but I think for me to try and cut out every pause, every maybe every little mistake, it's just, I'd rather just let it roll and be as much as me as possible. Something else I did, and I think I mentioned this in the video I talked about when I hit 20,000, is I tried to block out the noise. Here's what I mean by that. You can go on YouTube and you can search, how do I grow? How do I get to 1,000 subscribers? Something like that. And there's so much information out there. There's some good information and there's a lot of bad information. And again, not trying to throw shade on anybody, but what I see occasionally is, and let me say this, I'm still trying to figure it out, okay? So there we go. I see people that have some level of success in terms of views and subscribers, and all of a sudden, they become an expert in their own mind, and I feel like they teach something as global when they found something that worked for them. So that's why I'm sharing things I've done. I'll go back to shorts. If you like shorts and you feel like they work for you, do shorts. I'm not. I'm not going to do it. I do believe as you're starting, you ought to try a little bit of everything. Every format, everything. At some point I thought, I've got to stop watching so many growth tips. And again, I'm not saying you don't keep learning. I am still learning. I am 64. I'm really good at a lot of things, and I'm still learning the things that I'm not good at or I don't know. So I'm always learning. And if you ever, this is my advice to you, if you're ever watching somebody on YouTube and they're acting like they've figured everything out and they know everything, I'd stop watching them because nobody has. Give me a break. Really? Anyway, all right, there's my soapbox moment. But what I realized is it was just becoming noise. You'd have this person over here saying, you got to do this. And you'd have this person over here saying, you got to do this. It's like the little things, on your shoulders. And it was just like, enough, stop. I didn't want my feed, my YouTube history to be filled with this. Plus, it kind of started stilting other things I wanted to watch because I believe you can learn from any type of topic, any channel. And if you look at the channels I do subscribe to now, they're all over the place. And the channels I watch are all over the place. I also decided to just limit interruptions and things like that. So, going back to the social media, I got rid of the YouTube Studio app on my phone. You know why? Now, there's a YouTube app. You can watch videos. There's YouTube Studio app. The reason I got rid of it is because if it was there, I'd check it. Well, it's there. I might as well check. And I thought, this is not healthy. So I got rid of that. And then I just decided that, and this is a whole different video that I haven't done yet. I ended up quitting social media for 6 months. In the middle of this growth spurt, I quit social media for 6 months. And when I say I quit social media, I mean I logged off at the end of November 2024 and didn't get back on again until June 2nd, 2025. Never once got on any of my accounts. And I've actually since then deleted some. That's a different video. Going back to experimenting, besides just types of format, I also just experiment with other types of video. Now, I think maybe I've leaned a little too heavy into YouTube related things, but I'm fascinated by that. And I know enough people, you may be one of them, you're still a little struggling with YouTube. I do not consider myself a YouTube growth person. I've had people message me, hey, congratulations, you're really blowing it up in the over 40 YouTube growth space. And I hate that word growth. I hate the word expert too. I'm getting comfortable with the word inspire. You have to go back to that over 40 video to see what I mean there. But I don't know. I feel like it becomes noise at some point. And so anyway, I feel like trying to do different types of video, helping you with YouTube, but not maybe going so deep into doing this reviews and things like that, because the reality of it is, and again, this is one of those things I found out, sometimes you put something out there and it clicks, sometimes you don't. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I try and put out the best video I can, the one I'm comfortable with. I hope it connects. And the other thing is, too, I do my best. I do read every comment. The comments have gotten so much now, though, that I can't respond to every one of them. But if you leave a comment, unless it's like a troll or a really nasty comment, if you leave a comment, even if I don't respond, please know I'm reading it. I really do. I take everyone to heart, whether it's short or long. I have been absolutely, positively blown away by the depth of sharing in the comments. In fact, I want to read a comment that I got. I need to find it, but I want to read a comment that I saved off that it touched me so much. And I'm a little hesitant to do this because I feel like if I highlight one comment, then I don't want it to diminish the other ones. But when this person said this, I think I actually even teared up. And I usually don't. I'm a pretty nasty crier. So give me a second. I'm going to find it. Kevin, I can only speak for myself, although I'm sure that there are others out there that feel the same way. I've been following you for, honestly, I don't know, maybe a year, maybe two. Time passes quick. But you have been an absolute inspiration to me, my life, and in some ways, my family's lives too. You see, because of you, I finally started my own channel back in January. And yes, I'm over 40. By some, but too much, it has changed my life. It has given me a reason, a sense, and an identity. Don't get me wrong, I have a good job, traveling to Nashville for work, but doing a YouTube channel has brought a whole new dimension to my life. A change like that not only affects me in a positive way, but my family's too. So thank you. You gave me the nudge more than once, and I always look forward to watching. God bless. And again, other people have left comments. That one just, I don't know, maybe it was the day I was having. I don't remember. But it got me. Because I'm telling you, sometimes when you're doing this and you're just doing it on your own, I don't have a team. I do what I do myself, and that's not a complaint. I enjoy it. But sometimes you feel like things are done in a vacuum. And, looking at a lens right now, I'm hopefully connecting again like we're at a coffee shop, but you always wonder. And I'm not saying this for somebody to leave a comment like that. But as you do this, I hope you get comments like that. I hope when you're creating content, if you start thinking, is this even worth it? Which you have to decide what success is for you. I can't. But when you get to that point and somebody leaves a comment like that, it'll just almost reinforce everything that you maybe wondered about, and maybe get rid of some of the doubts you had too. You know, how do you start? You start. What if you don't have it figured out? Figure it out as you go. Well, that's easy for you to say, Kevin. Well, that's honestly, it's what I'm still trying to do. But, you know, I found a path and I found something that worked for me. And there's no guarantees at all. I mean, I'm not going to lie. When I got the silver play button, they call it, when I got that letter from Neil Mohan, who's the CEO of YouTube, which I'm sure is a mass-produced letter, I read every word of it. And it's just like, and yeah, I hung the thing up on my wall. I remember talking to Brian G. Johnson once, who's become a good friend, and he was like, got a place for that plaque? And I'm like, well, actually, I do. But, you know, it might not ever happened. And it did. And there's been so much because I leaned into YouTube that has happened. I have met more people around the world than I would have met any other way. And I mean, and some of these people I've become friends with. I've been able to work with businesses and clients around the world when my channel wasn't even as big as it is now, and I'm still kind of a small channel, because of YouTube. And I still get that. I've been able to do coaching. I've been able to do so much more. It has impacted my professional life and my personal life. It has changed my life. And it's part of what I love doing. So, you know, there's a quote that I use a lot from C.S. Lewis, and it goes something like this: "You're never too old." Hang on, I got to find the quote. I hate. Don't you hate when somebody wants to say a quote and then they just absolutely butcher it? "You are never too old to set another goal or dream another dream." C.S. Lewis. I have no idea where this channel is going to go. There is so much I haven't even tapped to teach and share. But what I hope, and what I hope God has planned, is I can just keep going for as long as I can go. Because I would absolutely be remiss in not saying that I can do all this only because of God. One of my absolute positively favorite verses, and I've got it on a poster on the wall over here, is from Ephesians 2:10. "For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus, so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago." I believe that of you too. I don't know everything is planned, but I do know I love doing this, and I love sharing the journey with you. Wherever you are in your creative journey, in your YouTube journey, just keep creating. You never know who needs what you have to say until you put that video out there and find out. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching this. If you've subscribed, thank you. Even if you haven't, thank you. Even if you're under 40, welcome. But use your gifts and share them with the world and see what happens. I hope to see you next time. I'm stopping the recording now, so to quote Ferris Bueller, go. There's nothing else here to see. Great movie.